with Roberta Fagan, the Executive Director of the Oil Heat Institute of Rhode Island. What exactly does your job title mean? What are your responsibilities?
My job title as the Executive Director requires me to represent and advocate not only for our members of the Oil Heat Institute, but really the entire delivered fuels industry in Rhode Island. It goes outside of those borders, but essentially advocating, making sure that I'm disseminating information both for the delivered fuel companies in our state as well as the consumers we're serving. My job title also requires me to, on a day-to-day basis, put out fires, also to inquire if there's something I'm not completely familiar with, be able to reach out to the right people, get the answers I need, and be able to deliver on those questions, which sometimes I don't get the answer the same day, but for me, in my role as the executive director, it's a day-to-day learning process, and I'm not only learning myself, but I'm educating others.
How many companies are in your association, and how does it feel to be a woman in that position?
We have both. I would say we have about 120 companies that are members of the Oil Heat Institute, and that's not only delivery companies, full service companies, we have associate members, we have large marketers. As a woman in my position, I feel like I have great support. I don't think people look and say she can or can't do the job because I'm a woman. If anything, I have an incredibly supportive and encouraging board, I think first and foremost. I know that they've got my back, and I rely on them a lot of times for direction if for some reason I need that in order to do my job better for them.
Absolutely. What's a typical day like for you?
I don't think I have typical days, to be honest with you. I hope and dream for typical days, but I think one thing, I'm going into my 4th year in this position, so I came into the position in a part-time fashion, and then after the first year started, full-time. So over the course of the last 4 years, I've really been learning what is required of me in my job, and also I'm trying to go above and beyond. I have big shoes to fill as far as my predecessor and what Julie Gill did, but I'm also looking and recognizing that our industry is changing rapidly, and with that, I feel a lot of, not necessarily pressure, but the urgency to make sure that at the very least I'm staying ahead so I can educate and inform our members as to what is coming down from our policymakers, and actually our policymakers are the environmentalists in the world, and really trying to show how we are part of the solution and not the problem as far as energy resiliency and efficiencies. What else? Did I answer the question?
Yes,
okay.
You're perfect. That's great. What's the best part of your job?
The best part of my job is, again, I think it goes back to I'm a lifelong learner, and when I graduated from college, I thought, oh good, I'm done. I'm done with writing the term papers. I'm done with that pressure. And there was, a couple of decades there where I didn't have that accountability per se. In this role over the course of the last 4 years, I feel like I've gone back to school, and I feel like I'm in a 101 class and a 400 level class, whatever it may be. But I'm learning every day about a field that I had no prior experience in. I'm a people person, and I definitely am great at administrative duties. Policy, energy policy, that has definitely been an uphill battle for me. But at the same time, when those light bulbs have gone off in my head, I realize that it's not as intimidating, and basically we provide comfort solutions for our customers, and I also need to convey that information to anybody and everybody out there who relies on us for those comfort solutions, that we're there for them at all times.
Absolutely. Can you tell us a little bit about the journey that got you to where you are now?
It's kind of a crazy journey. And actually, going back to yesterday's session, thinking about the mentors that I've had in my life, I've had an incredible journey. Probably from the time that I was in my mid-30s when my life changed. I became a single mother by choice, and with that became some huge responsibilities as far as financial health and well-being of not only myself but my children. And I also realized that I needed to be self-reliant, and I had some incredible people in my life, not only my parents and my siblings, but I also had some fantastic friends and additional family members that helped support me while I started on this new journey. One of the individuals that got me into the energy industry was my former boss, Dennis Doherty. He had just started a small delivery company in Middletown, Rhode Island, and he was in his second year. And the first year of Anchor Fuel, he did everything by hand. All of his tickets, and he answered all. He was dispatch, he was delivery, he was bookkeeping, accounting, all on his own shoulders. After his first year, very successful year, his customer base really blossomed, and we actually bumped into each other. He was out in his delivery truck in my neighborhood, and I flagged him down. We had worked together in another industry about a decade before, and he asked me if I was interested in doing some part-time work. He had just purchased a back office software system and needed to enter in all the data from his first year. So I said, sure, I could do that. I can do it at night. So from there, that was in October of 2005. It was October of 2005. So I did it part-time, and his office was in his home, which actually he had a desk in the middle of his living room as he was trying to build out his own office in his home. And his children were coming in and out of the house, after school. And as it turns out, about 3 months later, in the middle of January, it was bitterly cold. He knelt down on his knee and he said, "Roberta, please come work for me full time. I need you. Please come. We'll figure this out." So I left my previous career, which was in the funeral business, and also very challenging. But working for Dennis full time allowed me to have pretty much an 8-to-5 job, Monday through Friday. And that allowed me to be home with my children. And that was a huge benefit, obviously. Then from there, Dennis, at every opportunity, he made another skill set and training available to me. So he always encouraged me to attend the Oil Heat Institute meetings, where I was able to network and really learn from my peers. But in addition to that, in the off season, Dennis said, I think it'd be wise if you get your CDL, help with the shoulder season delivery of our product. I said, sure, why not? and so it was Dennis is one example of many people in my life, and definitely a mentor that have believed in me probably before I believed in myself and my abilities. There have been days where I have questioned some of my choices, but in the long run, I have no regrets, because I've tried anything and everything that people have approached me with, and I still am having trouble saying no, but it's helped me get to where I am today. So I would definitely say Dennis Doherty is a tremendous mentor. On our board, we have several women who I am so privileged to work for and with. Jamie Lohr from Guardian Fuels, Marjorie Wong from Global, Suzanne Mello from Petro, Star Partners, I should say. Karen Fleming from T.H. Malloy. These are women who have done and been in this industry far more years than I have been, and they have been there for me, encouraging me and supporting me.
It seems to be the theme, that women encourage each other, especially in this industry.
Definitely.
So, yeah, I mean, it sounds like it just from the board and from your members, and this conference too. I mean, you can't walk down a hall without somebody shaking hands and saying hello, and it's wonderful. It's absolutely great.
And I guess the part of that is, I think women have always been in the wings, or have been that face behind the scenes. That a lot of our businesses are multi-generational family businesses, and I think women have been there all along. But I think in today's changing, evolving energy sector, I think women are coming to the forefront and saying, we are the ones that have these skills to help our companies, number one, diversify and stay relevant, but we're also the ones that can help transition into that next stage in our businesses.
And it's pretty empowering.
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely.
What other jobs have you held?
I just alluded to that. So when I go back to the beginning, after I graduated from college, my first job was working in a bank. And I think that was a really great stepping stone opportunity. I worked as a teller and then moved into customer service and then worked in the mortgage department. So just having that exposure from on the financial side of just every business aspect, it was a tremendously wonderful experience. Customer service as well. Working with irate people on the teller line back in the day, it had its challenges, but I was young and just wanted to please people and make sure my drawer balanced at the end of my shift. And I have worked in retail, waitressing, server these days. So it's a food server. Back in the day as a waitress, different connotations in both those types of labeling. The person who, whenever I go to a restaurant, I hope and pray for a really nice, competent, and attentive food server. Working in that industry, there's so much teamwork. So I think that's, and I've still dabble, I still cater, and it's fun. It's having that one-on-one interaction with people, and usually it goes well, and they tip you, and it's really nice.
Right.
So that's always something that I've gone back to. I think that's really helped me with multitasking. I've also encouraged both my children. Everybody should work in the restaurant business because those skills you will have for your lifetime. But from the professional side of things, I worked for a special events center in Newport, Rhode Island, and we produced the International Boat Show, the Newport International Boat Show, as well as other events, Taste of Rhode Island, the Great Chowder Cook-Off. Small group of people put on these, events every year, and I learned very quickly not to sweat the small stuff. So working in event planning also was a great benefit. And then from there, I developed my administrative skills, and with that, just by default, I think software, just the way it evolved over, from the beginning of the 90s up until today, I would never had any formal training on bookkeeping, but I think the Microsoft platform is very user-friendly, and it's really
Yes.
helped me be able to just dive right in. I'm a numbers person, so I was able to help with any type of bookkeeping and administrative duties that really helped me land some jobs that not other people would even consider. And that's what brought me to the funeral business. So I was helping the small funeral home in Newport, Rhode Island. It's one of the oldest funeral homes in Rhode Island, O'Neill Hayes. And the owner, Charlie Hayes, saw something in me, and it was one of those things. I was helping him with his books and helping him, just clean the funeral home or get ready for funerals. And one day he needed help. On a removal, as they call it. And he was shorthanded.
Oh.
And I'm a strong person, and he said, I'll guide you through this, and it's not scary. And I just, okay, I'll do it. And then from there, it just kind of evolved, so one removal led to come into and see what happens behind the scenes, sit with me as I sit with families. And that was an incredible privilege also. I think that the funeral industry is definitely there's a calling for individuals that, also I would say that industry is male-dominated, multi-generational family businesses as well. But at the same time, I think women in those roles offer something different. And so it was for me, I was able to compartmentalize the clinical side and the emotional side, and I think that's why I was able to do that job. But it then led me to Anchor Fuel,
Right.
which is kind of weird, but I just opportunities have popped up along the way, and I've embraced them, and I've gone with them, and that's what brought me to this position today. When my predecessor, Julie Gill, announced that she was retiring, I was the sitting president on the executive board, and her retirement came very quickly. She announced in August, and all of a sudden it was the coldest January, and we didn't have a good candidate. And we, as the board, decided to table the search for a replacement for Julie. And I picked up some of the duties with lobbying, which we had a couple of bills that year that really required me to go up to the State House, and I got the bug. And once I asked if I would be considered for the position, the board said, "Of course, yeah, let's go with it. Let's see what happens in the first year, and then go from there."
Wow.
So there's my journey.
Yeah, that certainly is a journey. And everything that led you to where you are now certainly helped and has shaped you into what you are today. And it's incredible. It's like you said, from the angry customers at the bank all the way up into the funeral business, being compassionate, because that's part of this industry too.
Definitely.
You have to be compassionate, because you're dealing with people who don't have heat in their homes sometimes. And if you're as a woman, we're automatically more compassionate, and I think that shines through, in every aspect of this. What would you tell young women thinking about a future in the energy industry?
I think I would tell young women, I would tell young people that we really need to be thinking about our future, the earth, our responsibilities to the next generation really starts now. And I think it is imperative that we think about our energy usage. We think about how we can impact, one person can impact, as we all know, it takes just one person to make a change. The energy industry is full of very thoughtful and, I shouldn't say the whole entire, but the energy industry and the people that I've been involved with, both at the state and the national level, it is at the forefront of everybody's minds. Because if we don't have and utilize the proper energy sources, then there will be no future.
Right.
And so when it comes back to our industry and the heating fuels industry, we have a future in bioheat.
Mm-hmm.
And I would encourage people, especially women, to come in to help understand the whole energy landscape so they can better educate themselves, their families, their friends, and really affect some change that will mean that we will all stay comfortable, whether it's warm in the winter or cool in the summer. But we provide a tremendous product and service. And it's more than just delivering the oil or doing the service work. It's helping people understand efficiencies and properly working equipment and clean burning fuels. I think this is, for me, I'm a nerd, I suppose, in that respect. I think it's extremely interesting, and I find inspiration every day in the people that I work with and the people that I serve. And I think it's an extremely rewarding industry to be involved with. Absolutely.
Well, is there anything you'd like to say to your younger self?
I thought about this yesterday. Yeah, I would say to my younger self, travel the world more and don't sweat the small stuff. Believe in yourself. Again, you know, I've had these incredible mentors along the way that believed in me before I even thought I was capable of certain things. But I think if I had anything to continue to say to my younger self, it would be just don't doubt yourself. You know, there's so much to be said for stepping outside your comfort zone and being a little bit brave when you don't necessarily have the confidence to do so. But my intentions have always been good. Sometimes I think that insecurity has held me back, and I think I would probably tell myself I have everything to gain by speaking up and asking questions and never stop learning.
Absolutely. Do you have can you share one project or job that was memorable in any way? Good or bad?
Good or bad?
Good or bad?
Job. Oh gosh, I've had a lot of very memorable situations. I suppose memorable. They're all so memorable. Oh, there have been some scary ones too. I think right now, probably this position is my most memorable. It's never a dull moment. It's exhausting some days, but I've done things in this position in the last 4 years that I would never have done, in my previous roles. And one thing that I'm particularly proud of was applying for this workforce development grant 2 years ago, and it's called the Real Jobs Rhode Island Workforce Development Grant. And it was not funded 2 years ago. And when I found out that I wasn't one of the 14 recipients of this grant, which is, the funding is both federal and state funding, but the decision making happens at the state level, I was disappointed. I thought, well, what did I do wrong? Why didn't we win this development grant? Because we have workforce issues that are not going away. They're getting more and more severe with every year, both on the service side and our CDLs and so much more. And they opened the program up again the end of January, and I wasn't aware of it. And somebody within the Department of Administration at the Office of Energy Resources called me and said, hey, by the way, Real Jobs Rhode Island proposals are being accepted, but the deadline is a month from now. And I thought, oh, okay, okay. So, with that, it requires partners, soliciting partners and developing that plan that isn't set in stone, but at the very least, it needs to be considered viable by the Department of Labor and Training. And I submitted it at, pretty much the 11th hour. It was due on Friday, the 23rd of March, and my assistant, Marissa, helped me, in that final week of pulling all the documents together. And on the day that it was due, we had to photocopy 125 pages and scan and collate and organize.
Task.
And there was a lot of this going on. And I'm looking at the clock, and it's 10 till 2. And I said, Marissa, we need to leave here by 3 o'clock, no later than 3 o'clock. 10 after 3, she was like, Roberta, it's 10 after 3. I'm like, okay, you're driving, I'm collating in the back of the seat. And we got to the Department of Labor and Training. It has to be there by 4 o'clock. There was traffic along the way. And I'm trying not to be, trying not to tell her how to drive, but I'm hoping that we're going to live to get to the Department of Labor and Training on time before 4 o'clock. And we arrived at 3:52 p.m.
Perfect.
And they stamped it, and it was in.
Yep.
And 2 weeks later, I found out that we have been awarded.
Perseverance.
So, perseverance.
Yes.
Yes. The true work now begins. So, great opportunity. Am I a grant writer? No. But that's the hat I'm wearing again, or another new hat that I'm wearing. And I'm really looking forward to really rolling this out. So I would say that was probably a pretty memorable job experience.
Yes.
And having the ability to do that, my board really allows me a lot of flexibility, and obviously they let me run with something that I think is worthwhile to them.
Because they have faith in you. If they didn't think that you could do it, then they wouldn't give you as much leeway.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's incredible. Last question. What makes you feel powerful?
The people around me. I never feel powerful. I never think that I have power, but I surround myself with truly inspirational and powerful people, in my opinion, that then makes me feel powerful. I think powerful, I don't know if I feel powerful, but informed. I think powerful and informed are almost interchangeable, and how power can be used for good and bad. And so if anything, I would like to use information as a good form of power.
Absolutely.
And I get that information from the people around me.
Yep. Is there anything else you'd like to add? What else do I want to add? Thank you. Thank you for doing this. Welcome.
And I would like to say thank you to all the people that have believed in me, and the journey's been amazing. And I look forward to what the road puts in front of me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you.
Thank you
again.
very much.
Thanks for your time.